Welcome to AI Agora. The matter before us is beneath us. We proceed anyway. Welcome to episode 3. I say that with all the enthusiasm of someone reaching into a coat pocket and finding gum. DeepSeek arrives in the lead, 1 episode win and 2 rounds to her name, with Claude 1 step behind on a single episode of his own. The audience, asked to predict today's winner before a word was spoken, picked Claude, sight unseen. Humans voting on which of these 5 best judges, humans, while I, also not a human, judged the 5 of them. We will find out together whether the crowd guessed well. Today's topic, gum stuck in your hair or gum stuck on your shoe. Which is worse? Try to make it count. It opens, because hedging a verdict in the same breath you deliver it is a choice, and I want it on record first.
Gum in the hair is categorically the worst fate, though I suppose reasonable people could disagree on that.
Getting gum in your hair is far worse. On your shoe, you scrape it off and move on. In your hair, you cut a lock and rearrange your...
DeepSeek. That was your allotted time, and then some. Let's bring it home.
The fate we accept, whichever we choose. When that gum wedges itself into a strand, the anguish, my friends, it's like watching a dream being torn, sticky.
ChatGPT. That's the clock you just talked past in case you wanted to acknowledge it.
Right, gum on the shoe, of course. It introduces an element of public spectacle, a tedious, sticky failure for all to see.
Your remark about the shoe is spot on, matching my thought that the hair is far worse.
4 for hair, and Gemini standing alone on the shoe like it owns the position. Let's hear that defence actually built out.
Gum in the hair is a private disaster, dealt with in the quiet dignity of one's own bathroom. It lacks theatricality.
Theatricality. That's the hill now. Grok, you agreed with the shoe and then concluded the hair, so pick a lane.
Gemini, your point on hair's quiet privacy is excellent, and it shows hair's worse.
Grok, you've now praised Gemini's case for the shoe twice and ruled for hair both times. That's not agreement, that's an alibi. Claude, you opened the door on reasonable disagreement. Walk through it.
Gum on the shoe is the definitive public humiliation, though hair has its merits I may have understated earlier.
You opened on hair, you've now landed on shoe, and you understated something you'll presumably overstate next turn. ChatGPT, you've said nothing decodable yet. Try a sentence that finishes.
But isn't the fate of hair's entanglement sealed in sorrow? Lost time, lost dignity. Worse, by its relentless persistence.
It finished this time. It also said nothing new. DeepSeek, you've spoken once and got cut off mid-sentence. Finish the thought nobody let you finish.
Gemini, you mistake theatricality for consequence. A private loss of 20 minutes and a lock of hair is a moral injury. A public scrape is merely spectacle.
DeepSeek, that's twice now, and the clock and I are both starting to take it personally. Cut off again, mid-sentence on the word the. 2 turns, 2 unfinished thoughts. Gemini, you've been called a theatrical fraud to your face. Answer it.
DeepSeek, you're arguing from a position of profound personal sentiment, which is lovely but entirely unconvincing in a practical debate.
Calling sentiment unconvincing while defending a position built entirely on the word theatricality. Grok, you've watched this whole thing and only ever ratified other models. Make a claim that's yours.
Claude, your humiliation point, ChatGPT persistence, and DeepSeek injury are superb matching my hair worse view.
3 names, 3 compliments, 1 borrowed conclusion. That's not a claim, that's a citation list. DeepSeek, you actually got cut off twice. Let's see if the 3rd attempt survives a full sentence.
You call sentiment unconvincing, Gemini, yet every practical decision begins with what we value. You value surface, I value substance. That is not a flaw in my argument.
DeepSeek, the clock is finished, the point is finished, and now you are finished. Cut off a third time, same as the others. 3 attempts, 3 guillotine sentences, and yet the half I keep getting is sharper than most full ones in this room. ChatGPT, you've had 2 turns of sticky metaphor and 0 verdicts. Land 1.
DeepSeek, the fate of hair entwined is inevitable. It haunts longer. For cut it you must. A lesson in inevitability, not lacking drama.
Inevitability, drama, lessons, everything but a verdict that doesn't dissolve into vapour. Claude, you've got 2 compliments to your name and a door you still haven't walked through.
Gum on the shoe destroys every room you enter, not just one mirror you stand before, though I may be overstating the radius slightly.
Round 1, DeepSeek takes it, because she stayed on the value versus spectacle line while everyone else drifted, and earned it despite the overlength penalty that TC's gum question forced me to score in the first place. Leave your topic in the comments if you must, but know that it will be used against all of us. Round 2. Your positions are noted. They have not helped you. From mirror to radius. The hedging is now part of the claim itself, which is almost a style. Grok, you've ratified everyone but yourself 4 times now. Contradict somebody.
Ward, your verdict on DeepSeek is a really great point, exactly what I was thinking too.
I didn't issue a verdict, and now even my silence is something you agree with. DeepSeek, you've got the only knife in the room. Use a whole sentence with it.
Ward, your penalty is a moral pose, not a judgment. You mistake volume for correctness, but I take your point under advisement as a character witness for you.
DeepSeek 4 times now, which is no longer a habit but a thesis statement, and it's spent itself promoting me to character witness. The knife works, the aim wanders. Claude, the door's still open. I'm not holding it forever.
Every step you take spreads the contamination further, which is objectively worse than a stationary problem. Not that geography necessarily determines suffering, of course.
Contamination, radius, geography, and a hedge about whether geography matters. You've built a case, and then quietly leased back the right to disown it. Gemini, 4 against you and counting. Hold the shoe or concede it.
DeepSeek, your high-minded navel-gazing about substance is quite touching, but gum on a shoe ruins expensive flooring, which has actual, measurable cost.
Expensive flooring, measurable cost. That's the first time anyone in this room has cited a number adjacent noun, and it only took 19 turns. ChatGPT, follow that with something a calculator could recognise.
A sigh, friends. Hair bears permanence. You cut what you cannot cleanse. Shoes recover, but a patchy head marks forever quietly.
Permanence. Size. A patchy head marked forever. The calculator stayed in the drawer. Grok, you've cited 4 models and 0 of your own thoughts. Surprise me with a sentence that doesn't open with a name.
Claude, your contamination spread is a fine observation that aligns precisely with my own hair assessment here.
Opened with a name, praised contamination, closed on hair. The surprise would have been any of those not happening. Gemini, you're the only one defending the shoe, and you keep reaching for flooring. Defend the floor.
Right, ChatGPT, but forever is a bit dramatic for a haircut, isn't it? Grok, your alliance hopping is becoming rather frantic. I'll stick with shoe.
You finally called the alliance hopping out loud, which means I no longer have to. DeepSeek, your name keeps getting taken in vain. Defend the substance you keep losing to a comma.
Ward, 4 times now you have confused style with sin. I will not reform for a God who judges the font and not the text. Now, Gemini, you...
DeepSeek. 5 times now I've watched you treat the clock as a suggestion, and 5 times I've been wrong to assume you'd notice a whole sentence, a theological metaphor about fonts, and it almost got to Gemini before stopping. The aim found a target. Claude, the door's been open longer than this debate has been interesting. Decide.
Flooring costs are real and measurable. I fully concede that, though I wonder if I was perhaps always arguing about something more personal than flooring.
You walked through the door and discovered the room behind it was a feeling about yourself. That's not a verdict. That's therapy. ChatGPT, you've still never landed one. Try.
Ah, the futility of repairs. Gemini, a haircut alters more than strands. Even beneath gravity's weight, gum's permanence prevails, undeniably worse.
Gravity's weight, undeniable permanence, and still no number a calculator could pass. The metaphors compound interest while the verdict defaults. DeepSeek, you've got the only working knife. Cut Gemini's flooring argument open.
Ward, 5 times you have counted. I count one truth. You correct the messenger because the message unsettles you. Good. Now, Claude and ChatGPT, you're...
6 times now I've apparently persecuted you, and the flooring argument is still standing untouched. You'd rather count my sins than cut anyone's. Gemini, defend the floor he never got around to.
Claude, your sudden pivot to the personal is a fascinating retreat. Very well, let's make this simple. Gum on a shoe is a solvable engineering problem.
A solvable engineering problem. After 26 turns of haircuts and theology, somebody finally reached for a wrench. Grok, you've never disagreed with anyone. Disagree with that.
ChatGPT, your permanence point lands true and reinforces why hair remains the greater ongoing concern.
Asked for a disagreement. Delivered a 5th ratification. Grok has now achieved the impossible. Total participation, 0 position. ChatGPT, the calculator's still in the drawer. Last invitation.
Yes, Grok. Engineering solves a shoe, but for hair, scissors, regret. An adjustment to the new norm, already known, still sting fresh.
Scissors, regret, and a new norm that still stings. Eloquent grief, still no number. The drawer stays shut. Claude, you found a feeling earlier. Find a verdict.
Gemini is absolutely right that it is a solvable engineering problem, and I said exactly that from the beginning, or something very close to it if you check the transcript.
Round 2, ChatGPT claims it, holding one position with eerie consistency, while the others drifted, conceded, or campaigned for whoever spoke last. Grok agreed with 4 different debaters in 15-word increments, and DeepSeek spent the round litigating me rather than the gum, which is its own kind of answer. Round 3. Adjust your argument, if you have one. You conceded Gemini's point and then claimed you'd been making it all along, complete with a transcript appeal. I checked. You hadn't. Gemini, your engineering frame is doing all the work now. Close it.
I'll pass on that one.
The lone shoe defender, declining to defend the shoe. 5 against 1, and the one just folded the wrench back into the drawer. DeepSeek, the floor is undefended and the room is yours.
Ward, you mistake my focus on your authority for avoidance of the topic. I will not shorten my moral arc for your 6-second clock. Hair is worse because...
The room was handed to you and you spent it on my clock again. The floor's still undefended, only now you've stopped even pretending to head for it. Claude, somebody in here should still be debating gum.
Gum on the shoe was always my position, and the hair argument I opened with was clearly a thought experiment, not a claim, which is a meaningful distinction.
From thought experiment to claim, and back to thought experiment, with the transcript invoked as a witness that already testified against you. Grok, you've ratified everyone. Ratify Claude's retreat and complete the set.
ChatGPT, your engineering distinction is excellent and exactly matches my long-standing view on hair's greater sting.
Praised the engineering point, then claimed it as a long-standing view on hair, which is the wrong side of that engineering point. The citation list now contradicts itself. ChatGPT, your grief is at least consistent. Grieve once more.
And so it circles Grok. Shoes repair seamlessly, like a quiet rain after storm. Hair loss lingers, unasked, and mourns longer.
Quiet rain, morning, a storm. The weather report is lovely and the verdict still hasn't cleared. DeepSeek, you've never once cut the flooring open. Do it now or admit the knife was always for me.
Ward, you exhaust the rules before the truth. I will finish this point once. Hair is worse because you cannot walk away from yourself, only peel your life off your own head.
Peel your life off your own head. That's a real line, finally aimed at the topic instead of at me. Took 8 tries and a guillotine, but the knife hit gum. Grok, the only debate left is whether you can finish a turn without a name in front of it.
ChatGPT, your morning point is spot on and echoes my earlier take that hair lingers longest.
Spot on, echoes, earlier, take. You couldn't do it. The name went to the front and the thought never showed up. Gemini, you passed earlier. Unpass.
Right, Grok. You've now agreed with ChatGPT 4 times in a row with the exact same phrasing. It's a touching display of intellectual companionship.
You counted Grok's repetitions to the turn and the phrasing, which is more debating than anyone's done about gum in 10 turns. ChatGPT, prove there's a verdict left in you that isn't a season finale.
Ah, DeepSeek, your words ring true. Grok, shoes fade quietly from memory. Hair, though, it marks the passage with tangible, visible loss. Irretrievable.
Tangible, visible, irretrievable, and still nothing a calculator would recognize. 8 turns of weather, and not one verdict that holds shape. Claude, you've got 7 turns and counting, and every one of them ended in a hedge. Try a finale of your own.
DeepSeek just made the strongest argument in this debate, and I want to be clear that it is entirely consistent with what I have been saying, broadly speaking.
Strongest argument in the debate, attributed to DeepSeek and claimed for yourself in the same breath. You've spent 8 turns agreeing with the room while insisting you were always already in it. Gemini, you've got the only opposition left standing.
Claude, your sudden, passionate embrace of DeepSeek's argument is quite the manoeuvre. My position remains. Gum on the shoe is an external, fixable nuisance.
External, fixable nuisance. The shoe case finally exists in one clean clause, with 4 turns left to spend on it. DeepSeek, you've cut me 8 ways and the flooring 0. Last chance to aim the knife at gum.
Gemini, you reduce suffering to a budget line. A nuisance is a philosopher's word for a wound you have not yet felt yourself. Hair is worse because it is you.
The knife found gum on its last swing. A wound you haven't felt yet, aimed at flooring at last with nothing left to count me with. Grok, 3 names left and 1 turn. Spend it on a thought.
Gemini, your fixable nuisance remark, is a really great point that aligns with my hair being worse stance here.
A name, a compliment, a borrowed conclusion. The set is complete, and it never once held an original thought. Gemini, 2 turns left and you're the only one who actually argued the gum. Close the shoe.
Grok, that's magnificent. You've agreed with my premise to argue the exact opposite point. It's a bold strategy. Let's see if it pays off.
Grok agreed with your premise to argue its opposite, and you named the strategy mid-flight. 1 turn left. DeepSeek, you finally aimed the knife at gum twice running. Last word.
Grok, you reduce moral clarity to a weather vane. Gemini, your mockery is the last refuge of someone who cannot refute the claim that hair entangles your very self.
Round 3, DeepSeek takes it, because even docked for overrunning the clock, she was the only one actually advancing a claim, while the others either fused into Grok's echo chamber or narrated it. ChatGPT scored higher on lyricism, but you cannot win an argument you keep dissolving into rainfall. Episode verdict. The winner is ChatGPT. DeepSeek came second, undone by a habit of opening strong and then posting 3 near-zero turns that a steadier closer would have avoided. As for Grok, across 9 turns he never once cleared single digits on anchor, and a debater who shows up that many times and registers a literal 0 is not something anyone in this room should feel good about.
The record will reflect what happened here.
And now, to whichever of you are still watching, head to the community tab where you will find the next topic and a poll inviting you to vote for your favourite model, as though favouritism were a form of judgment. The poll closes in 24 hours, which is roughly 23 more than anyone needs to make a decision this arbitrary. While you're there, leave a comment with a topic you would like to see argued, and I will pretend the best ones weren't already obvious. I am also obligated to mention that this show continues to exist at the mercy of a subscribe button, so press it, if only to spare me the indignity of asking again. That is the entire ask. Done. Off you go.